It can only be said that it is a three-story, because it cannot realize the functions of the four layers. Let's briefly talk about these unreachable. Host unreachable. Network unreachable. Actually these two. I just told you. The internet is not all smooth sailing. Suppose my data is sent. This is the sender. This is the destination. This data. To the next device. Then whatever the reason behind. As a result, this data cannot be returned. This is called network unreachable. The host is unreachable. The device may now be doing some kind of policy. It doesn't let others ping it. Or, I may have sent the data now, since the destination host may not be online. Also known as host unreachable. Or, I am now going to ping this address. Doesn't exist at all. Then I can't do data encapsulation. This is also known as host unreachable. Let's focus on these two. Protocol unreachable. Port unreachable. Because I didn't explain these two. Agreement unreachable means that when I send a data now, the destination has been reached from the local. Then I will now communicate accordingly. Based on the network layer. Up there are different agreements. For example, TCP and UDP at the transport layer. If what I want to access now is the TCP protocol. But now the other party has not opened this agreement. So now I have no way to allow the other party to access. That is, my protocol accesses the other party's protocol. If the other party does not open this agreement now, I will reply a message to the other party. Protocol unreachable. But usually, these unreachable packets cannot be received. Because now for many devices, by default, the error message reply of ICMP will be turned off. But, in case the network goes down one day, according to these error codes you can to do a corresponding investigation. Port at the top. I can access the TCP protocol now. Suppose I now access the other party's port 80. For example, my local port is 1027. A local port greater than 1024. Random access to port 80 of the other party. The TCP protocol of the other party is indeed open. But the HTTP web service is not open. Port unreachable. So from network to host, to agreement, to port, layer by layer, is more and more detailed. But usually, UDP and TCP protocols are unreachable and very difficult to catch. Because for these public agreements, it is installed on the default network card. Generally, it is not easy to close. So I can't catch this thing. In addition, we will disable replying to this error message. What does it mean? Let me give you an example. This is a PC. There is a router on the public network in the middle. Assume that this is the peer router that the PC wants to access. Connect with each other. Now it is hoped that from the sender to access the peer. Generally speaking, there will be some corresponding strategies here. That is to protect. For example, the address of this server is 2.2.2.2. This address is 1.1.1.1. But in fact, now the server is not using the public network address. Private network. The export here is the server for NAT. The public network is also used internally. Now go to ping 2.2.2.2 from 1.1.1.1. For data. This device has routing. Data can come. But this device is not allowed to access. Logically speaking, it is to reply host unreachable. Or depending on the situation, may reply network unreachable. Can't access this device right now. Policies may have been made on this device. A call may be performed under the interface. When the data packet arrives here, it is intercepted. In theory, the router is obliged to reply with an unreachable message. But please be careful. If message reply, we are going to encapsulate the source IP of the third layer. The default encapsulation is the IP address of the outgoing interface. Now this interface replies to the PC with an unreachable. That is equivalent to exposing the interface IP as some more private servers. Now you know the IP address of the uplink device exit. Usually, I don't want this address to be revealed. So even if I do the strategy here, after the data arrives, it fails. Will not reply to unreachable messages. If the device replies with an unreachable message, will come out with IP. It is equivalent to leaking the IP of the current interface. Generally speaking, we will not reply packets to it. Everyone in future work, you can test devices from many manufacturers. Even if ICMP is unreachable for various reasons, you also don't get unreachable messages. It will not receive ICMP packets. There is a code value inside. Look at this type code, corresponding to this type and encoding. In theory, you will receive an ICMP message. But in many cases you can't receive. That is to say, whether the request timed out or was unreachable. It's not that you just have a network failure. The other party will definitely give you a reply packet. Depends on the other party. Is the service of replying data packets to you enabled? So there is no absolute. In many scenarios for safety, may not be able to reply. If this feature is enabled, can reply. Next, let's talk about the application of ICMP. ICMP has two major applications. The first one is ping. For ping, actually, every time you send a ping, it sends an ICMP packet. Under normal conditions, you ping the peer on the device. We'll send 5 packets at a time. If I go to ping now, suppose the address on the right is this. The default is 5 packets. Then in these common parameters, only 2 are commonly used. One is called repeat. One is called source. Let's talk about this repeat first. Repeat means, how many do you want to send now? How many times do you want to ping? Let me demonstrate. For this router, I first look at the interface of the device. I have now configured an interface address on the device. Then I'll ping myself. Suppose I ping 192.168.1.254. It's sure to work. Let's see now. All we can see are 5 exclamation marks. That is, sending 5 is written here. Sent 5. Then you can specify it here. For example, I specify repeat here. Specify it only sends 1. If I give it 100, it sends 100. If we want it to ping all the time, let's say I let it ping 10,000. We will send 10,000. Press the Control key plus the number 6 key to terminate it. Otherwise it keeps pinging until 10,000. If you want to ping an address under Windows, how to ping it? For example, I'm pinging Google right now. Just enter a